Hello and welcome to my a crafting channel. My name is Minna. I'm from Helsinki, Finland, where I live with these two creatures. And yes, this is my little corner of the internet where I talk about my knits mostly, but some other crafts as well. And my beverages are getting covered with cat fur. It's okay. Happens all the time. It is quite beautiful and sunny November morning. We don't have snow yet here in southern Finland, but it shouldn't take too long now. I think they are saying in the news that snow is coming, but we shall see. And it's not uncommon that there is not actual snow in southern Finland anymore. It's only water and dirt and half melted snow, if there is a word for that. Like not snow, but something just wet lumps coming from the sky. Who wouldn't love that? Anyways, not snow yet, and it's really nice to have some sunshine since the daylight is getting shorter and shorter by day. About 1 month more, and then it will start to the day will start to lengthen again. But now maybe grab a beverage of your choice and maybe you're knitting, and let's talk about my knits. I have decent amount job done. I think I have 4 finished objects and 2 in progress, and that's something. So let's begin. I will start with this shirt that I've shown a few times already. It is now done and blacked. This is my own design, and I have dyed the yarn also. It's well, basically men's size sweater with I don't know what's this sleeve called. I have seamed them in and knitted them separately, and also there is a little shoulder panel here, and then it has just 2x2 ribbing, which is held, or how do you say it, kind of like double layer, and I have seamed it in here, so it's really really warm and thick. The yarn is commercial yarn, Adlibris Socki Plus. I think it's worsted weight yarn that I dyed to be this kind of rusty brownish red or brown. The color isn't actually, maybe I try adding some pictures, but I'm really happy with the result. I knitted this with 5mm needles, and the ribbings are done with 4mm needles. And I think, or at least now, I think I would like to write a pattern, maybe even just the one size or only few sizes, because there is quite a lot of negative ease. It's really boxy, it's really meant to be not body hugging, so I think this would easily, it would be easy to wear for I don't know, I think a lot of body types, and I'm really pleased with it myself. So yeah, I don't know what to tell. I should weigh this and check how much yarn I used, because I actually have no idea. I'm guessing somewhere maybe near 600 grams, but I will put it in the screen. Yeah, and probably this is going to be a gift, but I don't know yet for who. Maybe to my brothers, or to my father, or who knows. It's or it is possible that I'm going to keep this myself, because I'm so pleased with it. It's really warm and cozy, like really nice thick woolen sweater with nothing too fancy, nothing too difficult, just basic good hardware sweater. In my last video I showed some Lettlopi that I dyed, and I was planning to make a sweater, and I was talking of some kind of fade that I could do with the colors, and I kind of thought that it was not the first project to work with, and what do you know, I made a sweater and it's done. It's not faded. I decided to do stripes and smashed all the colors in. It is for myself, and here it is. So I think this took 9 days or even less, a bit more than a week, but yeah. And the pattern is my own. It is a rounded yoke. I started from here, then separated the sleeves, and it's also a boxy one, and the sleeves are quite straight. I've decreased only in here just a little bit, and I think I knitted this also with 5mm needles, and the ribbing is done, I think, again in 4mm needles, and there is no any finishing or edging or ribbing here, because, well, I thought that I would like to have one, and I actually knitted it, and it was too maybe I should have used 5mm needles. I used 4mm needles, so it was too tight. It lifted somewhere here, and it not good. So I took it out. Then I tried I-cord edging. Same result for some reason, probably the needle size. And then I took that off too, and I'm going with this. It's maybe some sort of boat neck. Okay, should I put this on so you can see? maybe not the best undershirt with this, but anyways, it's not the point. So it has a wide-ish neck, but I think for my liking it's better this way, because I can't stand like uncomfortable feeling in this area. It's just no go. I won't wear those shirts if I have them and they are too tight or somehow I don't like them, so I won't wear them. So I took that off, and I don't know if it needs any finishing. Maybe if I have the energy and if I feel that it needs something, I could try do the I-cord with the 5mm needles, because I think I was doing it with 4mm needles. Or I could pick up more stitches than here is, so maybe it wouldn't then I don't know, I don't have the words. It wouldn't be so small, what I'm trying to say. However, it is more or less fitting with just a hinge or just a little bit of negative ease. I mean positive ease. And oh no, wait, yeah, positive ease. And sleeves are quite loose, but I like them this way. And here's the colors and the striping. And I was thinking, or I am thinking, that putting all the green yarn into same shirt maybe did not add the value, or I don't know. I still like this, yeah. It's warm Lettlopi shirt. It was quick to make. Also, the yarn was significantly softer now that it was dyed and skeined few times, or not dyed few times, but put into skein, then dyed, then put back into a ball. So I think that mechanical thing does something to yarn, and the roughest wool cuts off. What happens also when you use your garments, but it is a lot softer than Lettlopi, that it would be just knitted from skein that you bought from store and did not dye. So the simplest shirt. I don't have a lot to say. Well, I'm pleased that this rounded yoke worked out. I think this is not, I'm not sure if I'm not good at making them. They tend to not fit properly. I didn't mention, but there is, did I wear it? Anyway, I did some short rows also, so it's a bit higher from the backside. But that's pretty much all there is to it. Then some increases, divided to sleeves, then knit and do ribbing, and you have a shirt. Also, Lettlopi is so prickly, and I don't know, it's not probably the silliest thing to have this wide, what's it called, neckline? No? Anyway, it's not bad to have it this way, because then probably you will anyways wear something under it, so it won't prickle your skin. maybe I'm just trying to, I don't know, make excuses that I couldn't manage to do to do what I wanted. Okay, but yeah, if I have the energy, maybe I try doing 2x2 ribbing with 5mm needles, just a small one, like 1 or 2 centimeters. I think it would fit, but I don't think it needs it. But yeah, I made a shirt. Then, beginning of this year, I think I had 4 works in progress that I had started already in year 2020, and those were granny stripe blanket, Dare to Be Different shirt, To Be a tube scarf, and a cat hammock. And I've already technically finished Dare to Be Different, To Be a tube scarf, and they are back in they are back in works in progress. Granny stripe blanket is done, and now also the cat hammock is done. And I've also fixed the To Be a tube scarf, which is the next finished object. And that little story was just to tell that the year is about to end, and I'm still finishing stuff that I've already started a year ago, and this is usually does not happen. I try to finish my project and I try to fix if there is something to fix, but yeah, sometimes you have to fix a few times. Okay, anyway, To Be a tube scarf. I am not sure how fitting that name is anymore, but I don't know what to call this now. So I ended up, so this was to be tube scarf, like so, but it's this is 100% merino wool, knitted in, I think, 3.5 millimeter needles. It is a tube that was and I used yarn that I think most of this is something I dyed. They are leftovers from here and there, and the idea was to make a colorful scarf, but it was too sloppy. It laid on my chest, not in my neck, so something had to be done. So I ended up opening it, and I tried if the length was okay for just a scarf, like a scarf, and it was. So I didn't knit anything more. I just opened it, then closed the ends separately and add some tassels, and it's done. So here's the other end. I think I did a decent job with these. I'm not sure if I've ever done this, but it was really easy and actually quite fun to make. The other end is pretty similar. Well, similar. I think there is 7 tassels in both ends. And I've already washed and plucked this, and I'm pretty sure that some other color has dyed this, so I think I'm going to have to wash this and maybe put it into a soak with citric acid to make sure that all the color stuck where it's supposed to be. But maybe I will try to wash it first if this would go off. It's not that bad, but it's dyed to be a little yellowish, greenish, and it's not in this blue yarn. That is something it's supposed to look like this, and this side is a little it looks dirty. Yeah, I try if I can fix that. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this or could this be a gift. I think this is a bit bold colored to be a gift. Not all people like too colorful stuff. I know I like it, so if this ends up being my scarf, I don't mind, because I mean, look at it. And all my dies here. I don't know, I'm really happy with this. Which is really pleasing when you've used all the time and all that time, and then it kind of fails and you have to take it back. But it worked out in the end, so good for me. And it's warm and soft, and I think with this shape it doesn't matter if, because the merino yarn tends to stretch, so it doesn't matter that much when it's not a tube scarf. But yeah, it is done. Oh my goodness, did this took time. Oh, yeah. Okay, it might be a while before I'm making any tube scarf. I'm not sure if this still is kind of a tube scarf, because it is a tube still. Well, it's not a tube scarf. It is. I have to think what's the name, but anyway, it's done. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Good me. Then, as I mentioned, the cat hammock is done. Cat hammock is a project that I also started, I think, some point at last year. And the point was to have a project that eats all the smallest amount of leftovers, because I don't like to throw stuff away. So I started a project, which actually was, at first I thought it could be a cushion, but even for my taste it was starting to look too much. So I thought it can be a cat hammock. Okay, and here it is, and I've also put in swatches. Here is that yellow is something that I swatched for a shirt. I'm not sure for what this swatch was. Then I have crocheted random yarn ends, or well, yarn ends, little, like the smallest amounts of yarn, and it's double layered. And here's the other side. Here's some more swatches. This green yarn is something that I've dyed. That's some kind of Lettlopi swatch. That was for that gray color. Anyway, neck thing that I showed in my last video. This is also Lettlopi leftovers, and there is, I think my favorite part is that the color is not showing well, but this pinkish yellow stripe, it is 2 yarns held double. I think the other one was something I dyed, that yellow one, and I'm not sure what self-striping pink yarn is together with it, but I think it looks just like candy or something. It's pretty. Then there is a chunk of Seitsemänveljestä, Seven Brothers yarn. This is from a jacket that I ripped off. It was too small and didn't fit well, so a part of the yarn became socks, and I decided that this part I put it into a cat hammock. Some more, I think, my dyes, and here is well, something to tie it. I think, and it has not yet been in use, but I think I might try to get some wooden sticks to here, so that it will keep its form when, oh, it's so difficult to show, but it's supposed to be like this, and cat goes there, but it's a little wonky if there's nothing, so maybe I will get some wooden things to the ends, so it will be more flat for the cats. One more project done. And yes, I'm not even pretending that this is some kind of work of art, but since my cats like knits and wool, and they deserve the best, and I'm not sure if they care about coloring a lot, so yeah, yarn ends well spent or well used. Then to works in progress. I mentioned that Dare to Be Different shirt is back in works in progress. It is a shirt, color work shirt or sweater, my own design, and it did not fit. The yoke part was wonky, or there was too much fabric, and also I did something funny with the sleeve separation, so it was too tight. So I ended up taking the pieces together, like taking sleeves off and the body part off from here, and now the new plan is to make it boxy. So I'm going to just knit up, make a this thing, and then knit sleeves separately and just seam them there, pretty similarly that I've done here with this rusty color sweater. And I really hope that it works. And here's where I'm at, and I am knitting this with 2mm needle, so there is work to be done, and it will take a while. Here we go. Well, there is not much to show, and it's really looks wonky. Here's the whole thing, and it looks like this because the yarn is all curly, because it's ripped off, and I was too lazy to do anything with it. So, and I'm thinking when I'm going to block this will straighten itself. And here I've yeah yeah, I'm going to stick it. So here's hole. The sleeve is going to sit here, and from here I am going to stick it open, and fingers crossed that it works. But I think for this, it is really like oversized already. I think the boxy style will fit this kind of this design, or how you could say it. Here are the sleeves. They are just in a needles waiting, so I probably will have to knit a little bit more, but not much, and it's okay. I'm I'm going to measure it when I'm there. And the thing that I've been thinking is what I am going to do with this part, because eventually I'm going to have to knit back and forth. I mean, knit flat. And since I have all the time 2 yarns, it would mean I would have to knit kind of like color work or purl the color work, and oh my god. It's not actually difficult, it's just slow. It's just really slow. And also I may be a little worried that will my gauge change. So will it look more, because I know my purling is more loose than my knitting knit stitches. So if I'm here knitting this flat and all the time right stitches, and then I'm starting to make it flat and purling, it will show. I'm almost certain that it will show. I forgot to mention actually that with this shirt I changed, because it's also knitted in flat from here, and I changed to smaller needles. I think half a needle size, so it was knitted with 5mm needles to here, and then I changed to 4.5, and you cannot really tell that there is a difference in gauge. But since I'm knitting this thing already with the 2mm needles, I'm not sure if there even is a smaller needle. So I have some ideas. I'm not sure if I could stick this thing also. I've heard that some people do that. It's a little bit intimidating. I kind of would not like to take too many risks with this. Well, that's one option, or then just knit the color work only in the right side, but it will be, you can feel it in the fabric. I don't know. I have to look into that sticking of the that could be option, I think. Scary one though. But anyway, it is in progress. Maybe good 4 centimeters done already. It would be so nice to get this done in year 2021. I think it's possible. It's really possible. And I've found back my joy of this knit. I mean, there is something of this little stitches and thin yarn. I don't know, there is something in this, and I'm quite happy that I found it back, because I was a bit frustrated that I couldn't get this done, even though I thought it was already done, but it was not. However, joy of working with this is back. But few questions to answer still. Yeah, time will show. Now, there is one more shirt. I kind of got carried away with Lettlopi and sweater knitting. and I started a new one. I had the yarn. This is Lettlopi. I think this is army green, this color. I think this is really difficult color to describe. It is grayish green. It looks almost a little like a bit dirty. I think the army green is quite accurate, and there are, you can see that there is the original color of the lamb also, those grayish tones, and there is some yellowish and brown and different kinds of greens that I think go a little bit into blue side even, but in total it looks, I don't know, yeah, it is difficult color to describe. But I was on that knitting course this spring, and I was to make a jacket for myself, and I knitted one and it got almost ready. I made it ready and it didn't fit, and I had this yarn, so I ripped that off, and I have few chunks of it because of that, and I started a shirt, and it's going to be similar to this. I think I might call this rust, only because this color, but we shall see if the pattern ever comes. But in my little world it's rust now. So here we go. Same needle size, 5 millimeters. Ribbing is done with 4 millimeter needles. Maybe the color shows a little better here, but it's difficult color. It looks more green, I think, in here. And there is a little detail in the hem. I have some do you call those flip stitches? Oh geez, this is difficult. Anyways, it's a really kind of subtle detail, and I don't have needles here because I've knitted it with those other projects. But it is a start. This might also be a gift, and the colors that I've used for this detail are here, and these are store-bought Lettlopis. No, wait. Okay, I think I might be lying. It's probably only these two. But it's so nice to just knit without too many details to think or patterns to check. Sometimes it's nice to do something that you have to follow and do something more complicated. It is pleasing also, but sometimes it's just best to knit. This is coming at some point, but it's not the first priority since I have, well, Dare to be different and maybe some Christmas knitting to be done. But yeah, just wanted to show that. Then I have one last thing. It is actually a Christmas gift knit. It is a sock. This is the same Adlibris Socki Plus worsted weight sock yarn, 75% wool, 25% nylon or polyamide, and I've dyed these. This is well, as it shows, really tealish green blue toned yarn, and this is quite dark purple, and I think they go quite nicely together. And this is all I have of this yarn, and this is all I have for this yarn. But I think it should make nice little pair for size, I think 35, 36, and not with too long cuffs. Now that I've invented those flip stitches. I put some in here too. So I flipped a stitch, I think, in every second row. And there is one row of purple, 3 rows of green, then once again one purple, and it makes this, I think, really nice detail. And from the back side of the sock it goes just like this, and I didn't do anything with the striping. I know there are techniques that this would look more even. I think I should look into that. I've tried some. I know you can flip stitches, but I haven't found a technique that would fix it in total. I think always you can see, and I don't know how the helical knitting would work with this, but anyways, something to look into. But it doesn't look too bad. Maybe, or maybe it does. Also, if I want, I can always afterwards do some kind of little detail here to cover it. I think this looks really nice, and it's always so pleasing to find from your stash something that just works this well. I think I'm going to make just a few more repeats, and then the heel and the foot, and call it a day. And I think the yarn should be enough. And I'm knitting this with, I think, 3.5mm needles, and I have, I think, 48 stitches here. And I think the yarn calls for a bit thicker needle, so it's really a thick fabric. But I think for sock it's okay. These are going to be nice and sturdy and really, really warm socks. And hopefully the recipient will like them also. I think that's it. I didn't start the gloves for myself. I have plans for those. I think I'm going to use the Lettlopi that I had leftovers from this, because there is quite a lot of leftovers. I should weigh this also. I'm interested how much yarn did this took. I dyed 12 skeins, so 600 grams, but I'm guessing here is maybe 500 or even less. But yeah, that's something to be done, and maybe some other gift knitting. I hope I will make progress with Dare to Be Different shirt. It's the last project of the last year that I have still hanging, and with these other projects I'm not that determined that I should finish them during this year. However, I really like that the projects, I've talked about this, I like that stuff gets done. So I'm so pleased that I have 2 shirts ready, cat hammock ready, scarf ready, and Dare to Be Different shirt in progress again. So, and Christmas knitting. So good for me. If I have Christmas knitting and Dare to Be Different, I should make decent progress with those in the next few weeks. But yeah, I think that's all. I hope you enjoyed. If you have thoughts about that neck thing with the Dare to Be Different, I'm really happy to hear that. Or other suggestions of the how to avoid knitting back and forth the color work, or some good techniques to that. Or maybe I should just practice my purling to be not that loose. That's always an option, of course. And yeah, hope you have good time and be safe, and I will see you in a few weeks. Bye bye.